Wow, welcome back to another episode of the Strong Opinion Hibs podcast. I'm the host, Calvin. I'm with Charlie and Jack. How are you boys after another brilliant weekend being a Hibs?
I think the less said the better, mate. But unfortunately, we've got a podcast today, so.
And Jack, Mr. Germany.
That's indifferent. I wish I was back. I'm on the flight out to Mainz the Mainz game next week. It's better than watching Hibs. It's indifferent, mate. Honestly, it was a good day out. Nice big away trip for me. Really exciting adventure. All about 10 minutes on the bus to the Armandale. So
Good stuff. So I used to were an appearance for the podcast. I was being plastic. I didn't bother going just because I had other duties to attend to because I'm an adult. So I'll quickly run through the team, guys. Mason goals, back three of Paul McGinn, Paul Hanlon and Lewis Stevenson. Midfield four of Josh Doig, Joe Newell, Jake Doyle-Hayes, Harry Clark, Ewan Henderson sitting in front of them with James Scott and Melkerson up front. What's your thoughts?
I thought it was all right. I thought Ryan Porteous's ban was up. I thought he would have been back, but
I think it's next week, eh?
Aye, it's next. But I could have sworn he'd served his ban, and I think
he got an extra one because they appealed it, eh?
But no, I mean, I was pretty happy with the squad. I thought I had enough in it to win. Thought James Scott and Melkerson, like, who else have we really got to go up front? So I was all right with it. I thought, like I say, I thought I had enough to win.
Jack?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, eh? You know, there's not much David Gray can do now with the injuries and the suspension. I mean, I've said it before. That's the best he could have put out, more or less. You know, Porteous obviously was still, and I got to say, Charlie, you've got to have some humble pie, son, because we were on the way to the stadium and I said Porteous was still suspended. He said, "Oh no, he isn't." So
I think it was because he was back for the semi. I thought, that's
yeah.
it,
See, the cup and the league suspensions don't run at the same time.
Aye.
So yeah, it was the strongest team David Gray could have put out, to be honest. And you know, it's just at this point where literally that game was meaningless because St Johnstone lost. So both teams are safe. You know, it's at the point now where I think the season's petering out. You just got to play what you've got to play, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I thought really just echoing what Charlie said. I thought the team was definitely strong enough to beat Livingston. Although obviously we were wrong. Obviously it wasn't good enough to beat Livingston because we got beat 1-0. So moving on to the next little bit, guys, is what did you think of the first half there? Run me through the first half, because from what I've heard and what I listened to on the open on mics it was a decent first 45 minutes for him. Seemed like it was all right.
Yeah.
We were saying at half time, Jack, remember that we thought we were really good first half. I think we moved the ball about well. We we're playing fast pass, one touch pass in, we're getting the ball into the right areas, but just couldn't get a shot on target, eh? So like it was typical Hibs this season, eh? You play all this good football and then Calvin's got his but like you can what it is, like we play good football at times, but we just can't do anything with it. I thought just frustrating, mate. Like our shots came from outside the box, they blasted over the bar. Like we're just trying to play this, pass it into the net, and it's a bit frustrating, eh? But I thought we were a good first half. Really did. I thought we were really good first half.
Yeah, I was the same. You know, I thought first half you couldn't complain really about. You know, we were moving the ball about well. We were looking good on the ball. It's just we have no luck in the final third. We get into the final third, we get into the box, and suddenly it's like, what do we do? What do we do? You know, the one that really annoyed me, I was talking about this with people at the Hibs women game yesterday, is James Scott was through on goal, right? And Newell could have passed it to him. I don't know if Charlie remember that. Newell could have passed it to him. What does Joe do? He just balooters it, and it goes well over the bar. Now, see if he slips James Scott in there, potentially Scott could have scored. So I think that one was frustrating for me. It's that decision making for me in the final third. We just didn't have it. We need to be a bit more direct for me. And as Charlie mentioned, we just try and pass it in the net. Just be direct, you know. or make the more sensible decision. I think that's something else. Is our decision making hasn't been great this season. Where if you've got a player free making a run at the box, we didn't seem to want to release them. There's been a few things. I feel quite sorry for James really, because there was a few times that James was getting himself into the positions and nobody was giving him the service. And I think that's the story. I mean, every one of our strikers, Nisbet, Melkerson, and Scott, I think really they could be all three of them could say that this season is they've just not been getting the service, getting into dangerous areas, and they're just not getting the chances. And I think had that ball been slipped through to James, he could have potentially have scored there. But Joe decided to take it on his own now. I know I'm saying a bit hypocritical to say, I want my midfielders to shoot. But knowing that situation, James Scott was free, he was open, and that was a huge thing because the Livy keeper, you've got to bear in mind, that was his first game for Livy as well. We had a massive chance there, test them, slip James Scott through. The boy could have made a mistake. He looked a bit caught out by the move, and you would have been talking about 1-0 Hibs there.
I think we were pretty good defensively in the first half as well. But there was the one that, and I'm going to have to say it, Paul Hanlon was far too weak the whole game. But the first half, he's up against Newbley, who we ken is a dangerous opponent. Like we've seen that Easter Road. He's a big physical laddie, and Hanlon just gets shrugged off the ball easy. There's no communication between Hanlon and Macy. And if Newbley's a better striker, it's 1-0 because he just sort of lifts it over Macy and it sort of peters out. But, that all comes from miscommunication from the keeper and from Hanlon. But like I say, Hanlon should be doing a lot better there.
Yeah, we got bullied. Newbley bullied us, and we know how much of a threat he poses. Not only is he strong, he's fast as well. He's got a bit of pace about him. And I agree with Charlie. See if Newbley was a more clinical striker. See if he had that sort of killer touch. Yeah, you're talking 1-0 Livy right there, right then. I think the way Hanlon got bullied there, and we saw it at Tynecastle as well. With Sims when they for their equaliser, Sims bullied them off the ball. I think Hanlon's getting bullied about the shop, and that's a problem for me. Is that physicality? We need to be more physical because a team like Livy, they've got big physical boys like Newbley and Oberlang and everything. So I think that was a huge problem for me, not just in the first half, but the whole game is Livy's big hitters. Livy's big strong guys were bullying us about the pitch. And yeah, I'm frustrated with that. And it was miscommunication as well. Macy needs to be shouting at his defence, saying, leave it or go for that. There needs to be that. You need to talk to each other. And that doesn't happen. They just decide, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then that's why we get bullied about the park. We've seen it so many times this season. And like I say, if Livy are a bit more of a clinical team, then they would have went 1-0 up there. And I think there was points of the game you couldn't have complained if Livy had won more than 1-0. At the same time, you could have said, there was points of the game we couldn't have complained if we'd won. But, that was the first half, really. It was a case of we were good, but toothless up front as per usual for me. It's just not been there this season at all. And it's so frustrating because we on paper, those strikers should be scoring and we should be creating more. But we just haven't. It's been utterly toothless up front for me. And that game just summed it up.
And just to come back to some of the points you've talked about, one of the points I want to speak about first is, like you said, toothless up front. You also mentioned that was a debut for the Livingston goalkeeper as well, and for us to not even have a shot on target, 18 shots but not a shot on target.
You could sort of see it was going that way in the first half though. Like all the shots we had were going over the bar, or they were blocked, but it was.
I mean, I've said it before. She gave me a crystal ball because I was sitting to Charlie saying this will be 0-0 or it'll end 1-0 Livingston. And what happened? Because we could have played a whole 90. We could have played there until the Hibs women game came in on Sunday. And we wouldn't have scored it. We could have played about 3 or 4 games back to back. We wouldn't have scored. It's as simple as that.
I think it's hard to be negative after that first half though, like because
it is. It was really hard.
We if anyone was going to win it based on that first half, it was us. But obviously, when we speak about the second half, obviously not to be.
Same thing as well. You say it's difficult not to be negative, but we going away to Livingston and 0-0 at half time. I mean, for where we were last season, would that been a good result at half time? Probably not. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Livingston are a good team, and I think they're a lot better than what we give them credit for.
They're a well-oiled machine, and you see that every time you Hibs play them. Like it's almost like we went for.
That's what we aren't, though. That's what we aren't. They're everything we aren't. We're not a well-oiled machine. We're parts of a machine that hadn't even been put together yet. It's
like St Johnstone were our bogey team last season. It's like Livy are this season. Like, and that's a big thing the manager needs to get right. I think the new manager anyway, like because you can't say anything about David Gray. He's caretaker. There's no much you can. But aye.
Wait, I look at it, mate. We've got 11 bogey teams.
Yeah.
You know, Hank?
Aye, probably, aye.
Triangle's team I'm trying to have a team we've beaten every time we've played.
St Johnston.
No, we drew with them 0-0 at Easter Road.
You're right, sorry.
For a fiver.
Sorry.
None.
None of them.
Yeah, Hank's
None of them were beaten all the times this year. Well, it was last season we'd got a complete set against St Mirren and Kelly.
Should be doing that more often, though, eh? Like
You should have a complete set of results against
The
teams like
difference
that.
from this season to last season, mate, is like we've lost a lot. We've lost against a lot of teams we would have beat last season. Like these are the games we would win last season. And like, see if you're good at consistently picking up points, like against your St Mirrens and your Ross Counties and your Dundees and things like that. Like that's what separates you. You know what I mean? Another point I wanted to kind of touch back on as well is you mentioned that you felt sorry for James Scott. Now, James Scott again received quite a lot of abuse or quite a lot of bad publicity on social media after the match as well. Do you think that was fair?
No. Controversial opinion, but I actually thought he was better than Melkerson on Saturday because he was moving about, he was getting in the right areas, and obviously like he's bereft of confidence because he's not scored yet. He's a striker. He's come in with this. Hull paid £1 million for him, whatever. But I thought out of the two of them, he looked better on Saturday. And all this talk that we were fed that Melkerson's a better player on Astro, I didn't see that on Saturday. I saw a 19-year-old laddie who's no idea what he's doing on a football pitch, was getting in the way of shots, picked up a needless booking, which some people would say that's good, that, you know, you want your strikers to be up for getting booked. But I thought James Scott was better than him on Saturday, and there was folk booing him when he comes off. Like, come on, get a grip of yourself.
Yeah, I've got to agree with that. I think I feel sorry. Like, see, when you're a player and you're hearing your own supporters like booing you like that, and you go, what's that going to do for your mental health? You know what I mean? Like, these people put "be kind" and everything in their bios and that, and then they're like booing and cursing off a player, and you think absolutely not. And I'll tell you now, huge fan culture difference. If I'd done that at the Hertha game when I was there on Sunday with my other team, I would have had my head kicked in the Oscar cover if I booed a player like that. And that's serious. I'm not even joking about that. I had my head kicked in. Now the thing is, I'm not condoning violence, by the way, just I'd like to put that out there. But the thing is just if you only satisfied with his performance, didn't say anything. You know what I mean? That's the always thing is I just didn't say anything, no satisfied. And I thought James, he didn't do wrong. Melkers, that was one. Another one that James Scott is he gets his shot away. Melkerson's standing right in the way, and it comes battering off him. You know,
that's just an experience though for Melkerson, or is he trying to get involved? Or...
I don't know. I'll be honest, mate. Again, it comes back to the lack of communication. Nobody knows what they're all running about like headless chickens in the box. I think
Melkerson tries too hard sometimes. Like, especially you see how well he took his goals against Motherwell, and I think it just comes back for that. Like, he's a good player. Like, he's a good player. You've seen it, but for me, James Scott was better than him on Saturday.
It was.
I think what. Sorry to interrupt you, mate, but one thing I think people tend to forget is James Scott's only 21 years old. And that's not like he's been around a lot of time. He's only 21 years old. Like he's still a young laddie. He's a bairn.
There's an issue there as well. We're relying on a 21-year-old and a 19-year-old to get us goals. Like,
I've said that as well. Like Ron Gordon in the interview said, like, you know, he's been banging on about having a young team all year and that. Like, this is what happens when you have a young team. There's no experience. Like, you know, what happens when you go 1-0 down at Livingston? Like, we'll say that honestly. I feel like we've been flogging the same dead horse for years. You're on the podcast saying, one, there's no creativity in midfield for me. That is Bagel FC as a hole in the middle of the pitch where these two centre mids are terrible. I feel like there's no shooting from distance at all in the team to get shots on target, and that goes way back to the Rijeka game. I won't let that one go. I also feel like, you know, like I said, you sign St Mirren players, you get St Mirren results. You know what I mean? That's my opinion. And I just feel like it's been poor. But
on that one, mate, I think to touch on the St Mirren comment there, I think you're bang on, because Jake Doyle Hayes is one of the worst players I've seen for Hibs this season.
I wasted a jersey. I'm sorry, but he's a base to jersey. What a downgrade from what we used to have in the middle of the park, creative players, to that.
Joe Newell does twice the work because Jake Doherty is the same player as him. Like have you seen him put a forward pass this season?
I've seen him do one tackle in the 0-0 derby at Easter Road, and that was it.
But I can he scored those 2 goals, but like
I told you that was papering over the cracks when it happened.
It's really all he's done. But I think to move into the second half though, like the goal, all that really you've got to talk about for that second half, I think, is the goal.
The game petered out. You know, like to me with the goal, it's just been the story of our season. Like why we know that Livy have that threat where they like to make late runs into the box, and this is me. Watching Macy just get sent, it was just Macy goes, and then it was, and I watched it, and it's almost like it was happening in slow motion. The minute I saw Livy, and what did I say to you, Charlie? The minute I saw Livy got that in that bit, I thought, yeah, here comes the Livingston goal. I said it semi-jokingly. Here comes the Livingston's goal, and then what happens? We make it look far too easy for them there, for me. And I mean, it's not the first time we've made it look far too easy for a team to score. But again, it's like, we get caught out at the back far too often.
It's just defensive.
Solid defensive performance, and we'll get caught out.
It's just
one silly moment.
It was a huge defensive error. I think it was Clark on that side in the second half. It was. He just gets sold too easy. Ball comes across. It's almost like you're playing FIFA with a sweaty goal. Like just cut it back. Macy dives the wrong way, but he should be doing better.
He couldn't have done anything.
It's
not his fault.
No, he probably. I think he should be doing better, but he also probably expects it's going that way anyway. But
and the defense left him high and dry.
It's just so bad, man. And it's not even like to be honest, mate, I can't be bothered with Hibs. Like genuinely, I've got that feeling about the rest of the season. Like I'm going on Saturday. I'm probably going to go to Dundee on Tuesday. I'm not going to the St Johnstone game because I'm working.
Excuse me.
I just can't be bothered watching us the rest of the season. Like
it's been boring, mate. It's been boring.
We're safe now. That's the other thing. Is like there's no sort of like for me. If there was a bit of excitement, like we're going to end up in the play. You know, I'm sort of one of these masochist Hibs fans that sort of gets a bit like, there's a bit of excitement here. There's nothing now. What are we going to do? Finish eighth, seventh.
The thing is as well, just to jump in. The thing is as well, for us to be even having a conversation.
I was just about to say the same. Like that's embarrassing.
That is
unthinkable.
Like how
that's a massive failure for us to even have to worry about being safe, or to even sort of engage in that conversation is absolutely ridiculous.
Do you know that sums up the season, mate? You know, I think
the worst of it is. Oh, sorry, Jack, on you go.
What annoys me is like after a lot of people around the club said after 2013, never again. We won a kick up until we beat St Mirren. There was a real possibility that it could have happened again. Yeah. And we shouldn't be in that position. Size of club we are, right? Size of club we are and the resources we have, we should not be anywhere near that. We should be top 6. Shouldn't be in the bottom 6, having to scrap out with teams like St Mirren and St Johnstone and that, and worrying to have the book going to play, because we're a club with a big history and we've got a lot of resources and we've got an ambitious owner. So we should not have to be in the bottom 6 worrying about getting into a relegation playoff. Absolutely not. So I agree with you too. That discussion shouldn't even be entered. Like, you know what I mean? We shouldn't even be worrying about that. It's embarrassing.
Absolutely.
For me.
The one thing I was going to say on that is, like, people forget we were in Europe at the start of the season. We had last summer, we need a centre back and a striker, and we've got a very, very good team there. To now we're like, we need a new manager. We need at least 6 new players. Again. We need to bin half the shite that's in that team. And it's a rebuild. Like, genuinely in the past 12 months, what's went wrong at this club? We've sacked Graham Maffey. We've sacked Jack Ross. We've sacked Sean Maloney. We've sacked Sean Maloney's coaching staff. His goalkeeping coach just got sacked today. What's going on at this club? Like, how much money is Ron pumping into paying people wages off?
The Martin Boyle money, probably.
Well, is that the case? Probably. I don't. We don't know.
How much do you think? We'll get onto that in a minute, guys. But one thing I wanted to draw your attention to, like, Jack, you said you were banging the money, mate. You said we're running a bit like headless chickens. If you look at that second goal, right, the boy on the wings got it. Whoever it is in left mid for Livy, there's 3 Hibs players going to try and close him down and take the ball off him, and he passes it between 3 Hibs players Again, Jake Doyle-Hayes has left his man on the edge of the box. Shinnie, it looks like. He's left his man on the edge of the box. Very, very similar to what he done against Hearts when he went to go win that second ball against Sims.
Aberdeen at the start of the season, mind with Ramirez.
And it's a half-assed run back to try and get the ball, not following the boy who scored it, Pittman Island, not picking him up, and he's got an easy shot on goal, and that is terrible, man. For me, that is just bare minimum effort. And I mean, you're talking about, cheating that we put in a lot of effort in the semi-final and that. Like, where is that here? Where is it? Like, I think the players kind of be arsed.
Even that's not good enough. We shouldn't be celebrating. Oh, we outfought Hearts in a semi-final. We should be celebrating a victory, and we shouldn't be in this position. And like I'm just fed up with this season. I can't wait till the 15th of May is over. We announce the new manager, season ticket sales get a big increase because of that, and then it's on to next season. But it's just like, why are we in this position? Like we should.
What annoys me the most,
never have been this position.
I've got something to say about this. Like, this season's actually been sad because there was all the promise going into it. We got third, we got into Europe. We
had a great start to the season.
We had a great start to the season, really positive start. And then it's just been careering from one disaster to another since that. And I'm talking disasters on the pitch, PR disasters. It's not right and it's not good because I know, if you look at what we were in the past and you look at some of the things we've done as a club, to have a season like this, managers and teams like the famous five, Eddie Turnbull, McLeish's team, Lennon's team, you look back at all that stuff as a Hibs fan and you go, this is what we've got this season. And I try not to be negative. People know me that I always try and see the best. So it's bad when even I'm going, right, this is embarrassing. So I always try to look for the best at it, but I can't. There's no best. This season should have been building on the successes of last season, and we've went and just chucked it. We've done it to ourselves. There's nobody else to blame. Oh, nothing. There's nobody else to blame but ourselves. We've put this on ourselves, and that's the most annoying thing about it. We've put it on ourselves.
Right. Well, forget about the men. Let's move on to the women, Jack. Tell us,
for one disappointment to another.
Exactly. Right, go. Tell me about the women yesterday, Jack.
Well, it was a 2-2 draw with bottom of the league Hamilton, Academical. And yeah, I think heading into the game, there's a lot of confidence because obviously we beat Partick Thistle 2-0 and they've been a bit of a bogey team for us this season. So, there's a lot of confidence going into the game that, we can play Hamilton and get a result, get a win, get a confident win. We started off the game well. I'd say first half controlled the game really, really well, as you'd expect against a team like Hamilton. But very, very quickly, I noticed we were getting bullied. And this is where I sort of come into the lineup a bit, that obviously Rosie Livingston got her first professional start for the club, which I thought, well done, Rosie, that's brilliant. I think that's a huge achievement for the girl. It shows how successful her academy is. But I just think this was maybe not the right team to start Rosie against, because she played well, but she was just getting, my old PE teacher plays for Hamilton, and she was out on Rosie's side, and she is a big girl, Miss Evans, so she's quite heavy, and Rosie was really sort of struggling with that. Got to say, she grew into the game, but Hamilton had that sort of physicality, and we struggled against these big physical teams like Partick. As well, Partick sort of bully us off the ball, and we just can't really seem to deal with it that well. So we start off well, and Amy Gallagher to put us 1-0 up, fantastic solo effort. And this is what Amy Gallagher's got to her game, is she just picks the ball up, she goes on her own, sees the space, and she just puts her laces through it. If you just sort of the edge of the D, she puts her laces through it, and we go 1-0 up, and you go, right, that's brilliant. Hopefully we build on that. But in Hamilton. And I've got to say, Hamilton did not play like a team that's bottom of the league. They did not play like a team that's bottom of the league. They just, after we went 1-0 up, they just really came into the game, and they were getting chances, looking really dangerous out on the counter. I think we're making it look too easy for them out on the counter, And then the equaliser comes. And I think what I've got to say is, and again, looking at the lineup wasn't, apart from like Rosie and Gabby, there wasn't too many changes. And I think Gabby, after Emily keeping a clean sheet against Partick, why not just give Emily the chance again? Gabby, I think in that situation, Gabby needed to do better. She didn't communicate with the back line like she usually does. So Shiv went up to try and head it away, and Gabby was going to try and catch it. Gabby needs to catch it. If she doesn't, she drops it, and then it's an easy tap in for the Partick player. Then after the equaliser, Partick were actually looking like the better team. Half time comes, you go, right, you know, bit of jitters, we can maybe sort of recover. Second half, Hamilton with a better team. Sorry, I think I said Partick there. Sorry, Hamilton with a better team. The both teams are like identical to each other, by the way, the football they play. Hamilton with a better team. It's as simple as that in the second. And we could not have complained if we'd lost that game. It's as simple as that. Hamilton were running rings around us. They were looking really dangerous at the counter-attacking. And our decision-making was so frustrating in the second half for me. You know, we weren't picking out the simple passes. We try to be too fancy with it, you know. And Cav, I think Cav's a brilliant player, but sometimes she's just too much of a luxury player for me. She tries to do all the skill, a bit like Jasper. She tries to do all the skills and everything when you could just lay off a simple pass. Like Shannon Leishman's bolting it up. You're looking for the overlap. She doesn't. Cav tries to flip it over players and do scoop turns and whatever else. And you go, just pass it first time. You know what I mean? And like, it was too much wing play for me. It was too much wing play. There wasn't like, so Alexa and Rosie, because Rosie came at when Rosie shifted inside, I thought that's when you started to see her, you know, because Rosie, Ailey's quite physical. You know, you compare Rosie and Ailey, are two young players. Ailey's very physical. She's not afraid to get stuck in there, and Ailey's got the height as well. Rosie's short and she's quite slim built. So basically, Rosie's game's more knocking it past players and sort of making the runs, whilst Ailey can get more stuck in. When Rosie cut inside, they're getting more out of her. But her and Alexa were busting through the middle. You just weren't passing it to them. And then again, a bit like the Hearts game, a bit like the Derby, the 4-1. I know we eventually scored it. We just weren't getting lucky with the chances. And you think, you know, this is beginning to look worrying. And then Hamilton go 2-1 up. And I think with Hamilton's goal, it was stupid defending from us. And I hate saying that, but it was like complete miscommunication. But we basically kick it straight to the Hamilton lassie. And she has an easy goal. Gabby comes out too early. And it's, again, an easy goal. Made it look far too easy. But that's annoying because Luke's solid at the back. But I think because Joelle picked up a knock and she can't play a full 90, you're just looking at it and going, had you had Joelle's communication there, would that have happened? I don't think, because Shiv was screaming and nobody was listening to her. And Ellis I like Ellis as a player, but I just don't think Ellis should be. And I think Ellis would admit herself. I think it's too much for Ellis to have the armband. For me, like, I think if you're going to, for me, Siobhan should be the captain when Joelle can't play, because like Shiv can communicate and she's very loud and vocal on the pitch and she leads, even when she's, you know, or even give it to Gabby. Gabby's good at communicating as well. But yeah, I think for me that they go 2-1 up and you think it's no coming, and eventually at the end, just that little bit of luck we got, you know. It was an excellent ball at the top. I think it was Leah that said Leah had another good game, and got to see Rhea McCafferty when she came on was good as well, considering she had to come on out of position. Rhea was making a lot of dangerous runs and everything. So basically, we get the ball over the top. Mickey reacts to it well, chest it down, nice calm touch, and she puts it away right at the end, 2-2. I think as much as it's bad that we're drawing with a team that's bottom of the league, and that sort of sums up the season for us, who have sort of failed to get in. Dean was saying, you know, it's frustrating that we can't get results against this team, and I agree with him. The thing is we can't complain about getting a point, because based on that second half, we should have lost that game. It's as simple as that. So you can't really complain about getting the point. I'll take the point. It's not great, but we're just getting towards it. It's about getting the season done now. You know, you've got to go out to New Douglas Park, and then you've got to play Aberdeen and Glasgow City. Season's done, and then I think we're building solid foundations for next season. It's just all about preparing for next season now for me.
Perfect. Good roundup of the game there, mate, as always. So we're just going to jump on to the quiz. So just a short one. Hibs. So I'm going to jump on to the quiz. Now, Charlie says he's already looked at the questions, so make of that what you will. Hopefully the listeners can join in and enjoy. Right. The men's team first. Excuse me. Men's team first. First question. What was the score at halftime during the 5-1 Hibs Kelly Cup final?
Oh, that's a good question.
A great question.
That's I'm going to go and say, was it 1-0 at halftime?
Okay, 1-0 at halftime, Jack. Charlie?
I think it was 1-0. I think Rob Jones scored pretty late on in the first half to make it what, and I think that was it, 1-0.
1-0, perfect. Right, I can let you know you're both correct. It was 1-0 Hibs at half time, so well done to both of you. Right, second question based on the men's team. Who scored Hibs' opening goal in Europe this season?
I know.
Jack, you go. Well, Charlie, you go first, Jack, if you think you know.
Martin Boyle for the penalty against Santa Coloma.
Yep.
Jack?
It was Boyle's penalty against Santa Coloma.
That's right. 2 peas in a pod, inseparable. 2-2. Right. Last one of the men's questions. During the 2020 season, who did Josh Doig go on loan to?
I know.
You
this
might know
again.
this if you've watched the latest.
Oh,
YouTube
aye, I've watched it.
from,
Aye.
I bet from Hibs Quarterly. So let's have an answer then. Charlie, you want to go first, young man?
It was Queen's Park.
And Jack?
The Spiders, Queen's Park.
Oh, maybe extra point for the Spiders, perhaps. Yes, you're right. 3-3. Right, this next one's going to trip you up.
Uh-oh.
Just to the nearest. This is to the nearest, right? There's multiple choice. If I feel like if I put the actual number in, it would be way too obvious. So I'm just going to get it to the nearest, right? How many Instagram followers does Joel Murray have? Is it A, 800 followers, B, 1.5 thousand followers, or 3,000 followers, or C, 3,000 followers?
Because she's like a pundit for the BBC and she's like a well-known personality around the club, I'm going to go for C.
For C?
Yeah.
And Charlie?
I'll go C as well, just to keep it.
Jesus, this is unbelievable. I can confirm, yes, you are both right. It's just over the 3,000 mark.
Come on.
This could be like that game at Motherwell, 6-6.
Right.
Could be.
Women's team, how many players are actually in our squad?
Including those on loan as well, or?
No, just in the current squad. I'm going this based off of the Hibernian Women website.
We've got quite a small squad compared to like other teams in the league. I'm going to go out on a limb and just take a completely random guess here, counting in my head. I think we've got about 16.
Okay. And Charlie?
I think we've got, based on the squad numbers, it goes up to 29, but we've not got 29. I think we've got 20. A fair few have left this season.
Right, is that your final answer?
Mm-hmm.
Can confirm the answer is 19. So Charlie, I'd imagine you were the closest there, so I'm going to give it to you.
Point.
Give the point to you, so well done. Right. Last question. Third question. It was somebody at Hibernia Women's birthday this week. Whose birthday was it?
Oh, Jack, you should ken this.
It's the gaffer, Dean Gibson.
Charlie?
It's Dean's.
It
was
Dean's,
it was
I was
Dean's.
going to ask how old he was, but I couldn't find out.
Jack, you'll ken.
I genuinely don't know.
Nah.
Right, so that
we'll say 21 and get over it.
Aye.
21 years young.
I think you've got to be about 20 to play for Hibs, going by the first team. Right, so Charlie, I can confirm you are the winner. I think you won it
6-5.
6-5. He's fancy a extra question.
Go on then.
Right, let me just
Go on then.
have a quick look. Right. What number is Michaela Micheloni for Hibernian Women? What shirt number?
12.
12, yeah, 12.
He's a good. I wouldn't have got that unless I had all Google up. Aye, right, there you go. Inseparable. Right, that brings us to the end of the podcast for the night then, boys. Jack's got to shoot. So we'll wrap up quick. Hopefully the listeners enjoyed it. A wee quick analysis of the Livingston match, the women's match. We'll to talk about Hibs going on to play Aberdeen at the weekend, where I reckon they'll get spanked, but we'll come to that. So until next time, you boys got anything to add?
I just want to say ahead of the Aberdeen game, a massive meh to everybody.
Exactly.
I would say come on the Hibs, but I think it cuts it now.
The Hibs go marching on to 7th.
Hey, how is Charlie in Livingston? I thought Charlie Banks wasn't welcome in Livingston or Leith.
He managed to behave himself.
I just do it.
Making fun of a police officer look like a fat Magnum PI, but
What's that?
A police officer at Livingston game with very interesting facial
Oh,
hair.
aye, he had a big moustache. He looked like Charles Bronson. So
I was hoping you were going to tell me it was Mr. Petrie wanted to buy the club back. Right. Till next time. Remember, Charlie Banks not welcome in Leith, Leipzig, or Livingston.